Vino, vino, vino.
To be fair, it works when more than one person does it. It just looks a bit. Vino just looks like you're really just like an alcoholic that's he's relapsing quick. Get him a Merlot. Right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to bring on your headline act tonight. Are you all up for this?
Yeah!
So we're going to do this, ladies and gentlemen. The only comedian to ever win Britain's Got Talent, ladies and gentlemen, and he's an absolute hero of mine. Love him. So, I'm not even sure. Charles. Could you have a stand-up, Charles? Okay. Right, okay. Now, Charles, you turn around, Charles. Okay, right, now whip your top off, Charles. Jane asked me specifically, right, to check you've got a mole. You're going to do this, Charles, okay? You're going to be the controller of the video. You're going to point to this group here. They're going to go, come on. Yeah, so you can go Vino if you want. That's right. And then right up there, and then you lot to your feet, and Charles, like, just dance. That's all we want. That is just Charles going to be a bit proper dance, and then once he gets to the level and you're grooving, bang, we're going to bring him on. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. We're going to do this. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Lost Voice Guy. Charles, you start off and
Alright, come on!
Gentlemen, are you all very well?
Yeah!
As you can probably tell from my accent, I'm from around these parts of the country. So it's nice to be home in this generic town or city. As you may be able to tell, I'm a struggling stand-up comedian who also struggles to stand up. To be honest, I'm not sure which I am worst at. I'll leave that for you to decide. But, just so you know, if you don't laugh at the disabled guy, you are going to hell. If you are wondering how I got disabled, it's because I didn't forward that chain email to 10 of my closest friends when I was younger. Before we get started, some of you may have seen me on Britain's Got Talent. Well, if you expect me to be that sweet and innocent now, you're in for a big fucking surprise. I'll be honest, I've just spent 5 months on a tour of the UK, playing to Britain's Got Talent audiences, so I haven't been allowed to swear in a while. So I'm going to really fucking enjoy myself. In fact, I might just stand here and swear for my entire set.
Hey.
Shit. Bastard. Asshole. Bollocks. Piss flaps. Dish tits. Arse badger. Wank biscuit. Bell end. Piers Morgan. Let me tell you, you get asked some really strange questions when you are disabled though. First of all, please don't ask me after the show if this is just a character act and if I can really talk. A ridiculous amount of people already have in the past. Because, obviously, it's socially acceptable to pretend to be disabled for the sake of entertainment. If I was going to lie about being disabled, I doubt I would have chosen this one. As a comedian, not being able to speak is probably the worst disability to pretend to have. It's far more likely that I would pretend I couldn't walk so I could be driven onto the stage on a mobility scooter, like a disabled version of the Pope. Or maybe I would say that I was blind. Then, when people didn't laugh at my jokes, I'd be able to let my dog take a shit on them. In fact, I have been asked if I really can talk so many times now that I simply refuse to speak to the person who asked it. I just nod and wink, simply to confuse them even more. I mean, they must think I'm a better method actor than Daniel Day-Lewis in my left foot if they think I can put this shit on for hours at a time. One of the questions I get asked most often is, what is it like living with cerebral palsy? To be honest, it's a right pain in the ass. Recently, I was asked what sort of cerebral palsy I had. I wasn't even aware that there was different brands of it. I have definitely not got any designer brand of cerebral palsy. I think I picked mine up from Primark. Whenever I'm asked what sort of cerebral palsy I have, I always want to say I've got the bad kind. I don't know what they expect me to say. Next, they will be asking me to rate my cerebral palsy on a scale from 1 to 10. 10 being really bad, and 1 being a benefit cheat, appearing on the Jeremy Kyle show. When people find out more about my disability, they start to tell me how sorry they are. Everyone is so sorry all the time. Sorry to hear I can't talk. Sorry about my walk. Sorry I will never make it onto Strictly Come Dancing. But I say, fuck them. Don't feel sorry for me. I'm a complete bastard. I'm the sort of guy who presses every button in the lift when I'm getting out of it. I'm the kind of guy who makes people move out of the disabled space on a train, even when the whole carriage is empty. I'm that person who gets up to do karaoke and then pretends the microphone is broken when no sound comes out of my mouth. One of the worst things about my disability is having my hair cut. I really don't like getting it done. Everything about the process is just so awkward. The main reason why I don't like it is because once the cloak is on and my hands are trapped, I can't speak at all. In fact, I didn't even want this haircut. However, there was no way of asking them to stop once it had started. But I still had to nod and smile and pay £30 for the privilege. Also, the banter with my hairdresser is very one-sided indeed. Needless to say, she still doesn't know where I'm going on holiday this year. I also don't like the fact that you have to spend half an hour looking at yourself in the mirror. I'm very self-conscious, so I don't like looking in the mirror at the best of times. I really wish I was some sort of disabled vampire so that I didn't have to see my reflection. But I'd make a pretty shit vampire, I reckon. I mean, I'm not very good at biting, so that would be my first problem. I would have to have a special helper vampire who could drain the blood from the victim for me to drink. They would also have to chop up the flesh into small, manageable pieces for me to eat. or put it all in some sort of Tupperware container for later. This brings me to my second problem. Vampires tend to like to move about at night. I have enough trouble walking in the daytime without tripping over. I'd have no chance at night. I'd just end up falling over, cutting my head open, and I'd just have to hope some of the blood pours into my mouth. Vampires are tough with fast reflexes as well. In case you haven't noticed, those aren't exactly my strong points. In fact, my reflexes are shit. I'm forever getting asked by taxi drivers if I am as clever as Stephen Hawking too. I'm clearly not as clever as him, or I wouldn't be in this generic town or city talking a load of crap. I can do a great Stephen Hawking impression though. I'll show you. Hello, I am Stephen Hawking, and the universe is fucking massive and that. In fact, the closest I have ever come to being Hawking is when I went to see The Theory of Everything at the cinema. It's the movie about Stephen Hawking and his life. I didn't go to watch it though. I just went so that I could sit at the back, say random sentences on my iPad, and fuck with the rest of the audience. So, Hawking would say something on screen, and then I would speak up at the back and explain that I didn't say it at all, and that the movie was putting words into my machine. One guy in front of me seemed to be really impressed that it was being shown in surround sound. Then, at other times, I would type what I thought he was going to say just before he said it. This was especially fun when he was talking to his wife, and I kept saying, "I fucked your sister." But I do love pretending to be the professor when I'm on the telephone. Like when I phoned up Curry's, pretending to be Hawking, and tried to tell them that I had just had sex. Then I told them that I had caught a sexually transmitted disease. And then I asked if they had any antivirus software to fix it. Another question that I get asked quite often is, have I ever tried to talk just to see what would happen? As if I had just been lazy all of my life, and therefore just couldn't be bothered to talk. Like I was only putting it on to take advantage and jump the queues at Disney World. But, in case you are wondering, no, I haven't tried to talk before. Mainly because I know nothing will fucking happen. I'm not going to suddenly open my mouth and hear Brian Blessed's voice booming out. Besides, I've built a career out of not being able to speak now. I don't think I should be encouraging my voice to magically reappear too much. The found voice guy just doesn't have the same ring to it. I do actually talk in my sleep though. I know I do because I always wake up with random sentences typed out on my iPad. Admittedly, this job would be so much easier if I could talk. Because apparently it's very important to get your tone of voice right when doing comedy. So that means I'm completely fucked. For example, this is what I sound like when I'm excited, and this is what I sound like when I'm miserable. And this is what I sound like when I'm happy. And this is what I sound like when I'm bored.
In fact, the only time I sound any different is on Thursday nights, when I pretend to be a woman.
I often get asked if I am out with my carer as well. I really wish people would stop thinking that the people I am out with must be my carers. Because obviously disabled people couldn't just be out with friends. That would just be stupid. Just to put the record straight, I have always been very social and have a lot of mates. I had some great friends at school. I think it's rather different when you attend a school for disabled people compared to a mainstream school. In mainstream schools, it is the fittest and most attractive children who are most popular. But it wasn't like that for me. At my school, you were judged on how bad your disability was. If there wasn't that much wrong with you, then you were bullied for being too normal. And let me tell you, you don't want to be on the receiving end of an electric wheelchair. Let's just say that it's not only rappers who get injured in drive-bys. Like most good friends, we got up to our fair share of mischief when we were together. Such as the time I borrowed my friend's wheelchair and stood outside a church, trying to sell it because a miracle had happened and I had been healed. Or when I went to the zoo with my mate who had only one leg, went into the lion enclosure and asked him to point out which one of the lions had took the other leg in front of loads of children. And we used to love sending my blind friend really erotic letters from a pretend girlfriend because we knew his mother would have to read them to him. But people assume a lot about me. They assume I must be stupid as well as disabled. A few years ago, one guy tried to help me cross the road because obviously I am incapable of turning my head to the right and then to the left. That's the main reason I get bored when I go to watch tennis matches. I tried to indicate to him that I was fine, but he was insistent. So I decided to just let him get on with it. He took my hand and walked me across the road. However, that was just the start of my fun. Instead of letting go of his hand once we had crossed the road, I decided it would be more fun to keep hold of it. In fact, I kept hold of it all the way home. Obviously, I went the long way just to drag it out a bit more. I went through the park, up the high street. I even went past all the gay bars, so it looked like we were lovers. Every time he tried to let go of my hand, I would wobble a bit to make him panic. Basically, I had taken the bloke prisoner for being a thick asshole. I got the train to the gig today. I always like to sit in those seats for disabled people. It's just easier to get off. Anyway, I was in that seat and was about halfway here when another disabled person got on and asked me to move. I'll be honest, I didn't realize I'd be playing disabled top trumps when I got on, or I would have dressed more handicapped. Needless to say, I didn't move. Who cares if he was both blind and deaf? I was there first. It was very awkward. He couldn't see that I was still there, and I couldn't tell him I wasn't moving because I couldn't speak. In the end, I had to throw his guide dog a stick. I didn't mean for them to end up under the train. But now he really is disabled, and he's welcome to my seat when he recovers. I decided to get a taxi to the venue. I checked beforehand, and it didn't look that far. I thought I could easily afford it. The taxi driver had other ideas, however. I think he must have seen me coming and decided that I must be thick as well as disabled. This was confirmed when he started shouting every word slowly at me. I could have told him to stop, but to be honest, it was very amusing. Especially as I still couldn't understand his accent. Anyway, I ended up taking the longest taxi ride I've ever taken. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, it cost an absolute fortune. Maybe it didn't help that I was confusing the taxi driver by pretending to be the tom-tom.
After 200 yards, bear left. Well done. At the roundabout, take the second exit. Or is it the third? I can never remember since they did those roadworks. Maybe it's the first exit. Yes, it's definitely the first exit. Take the first exit. Bollocks. It was the second exit. Why didn't you say something? You bastard. Never mind, I know a shortcut. Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road. Can you tell me how to get to Sesame Street? Take the bridge over troubled water. Winding your way down Bainbridge Street. You're on the road to hell. Stop. Hammer time.
People have often asked me why I want to put myself in a position where everyone can stare and laugh at me. The truth is that it happens to me every day anyway. At least this way there's a scheduled time and place for it. I like to think I'm providing a public service, which is more than the government is doing at the moment. Of course, I do it because I want to be famous too. I think everyone does really. I started off in a disabled Steps tribute band. We were called Ramps. That was a bit of an uphill struggle. I used to often think about going on the X Factor just to see the look on their faces when they realize I can't actually sing, or dance, or talk. I don't wonder about this anymore. The X Factor auditions came to the area recently, so obviously I went along to see what would happen. I thought I could be in with a chance, because Gareth Gates became successful despite his SSSSSSSS. Choosing which song to sing to the judges was hard. Shout by Lulu was an obvious candidate, as was Don't Speak by No Doubt. In the end, I went for I Believe I Can Fly. I'll be honest, I never even expected to reach the judges. Surely someone would question how the fuck I was going to sing. I did feel a little bit bad for wasting their time. Not much though. I'm a bastard. I could see straight away that they were very confused when I walked in. The look on their faces as I began to sing was priceless, especially as I started to sway along to the words as well. Unsurprisingly, they rejected me without even raising a smile. In fact, they still didn't smile as I walked out and asked them if it was because my voice had sounded too flat. Sometimes I think I say it best when I say nothing at all. Having a disability isn't all bad though. It turns out that disabled people can get away with anything. I pushed a little child out of the way recently. I wasn't even in a hurry. I just wanted to test out my theory. It got worse for the kid when his mother shouted at him for not looking where he was walking. I am used to people getting out of my way when I'm walking down the street though. It's almost as if they are afraid they will catch something from me. I got straight to the front of the queue in accident and emergency recently as well. There was so many people with blood everywhere that I started to imagine that I was Moses and I was parting the Red Sea. I also got out of jury service this year by playing the disability card. Well, I said I was a member of UKIP, which is the same as having a mental disability. In fact, I played the disability card that many times now that I've made an actual disability card. If I want to sit down on a busy train, I pull out the disability card. If I want tickets to a sold-out music concert, I pull out the disability card. If I see an attractive girl who is way out of my league, but obviously has a conscience, and who would probably sleep with me out of sympathy, I pull out more than just the disability card. I do have to set a few things straight before I have to leave you. First of all, I'm not drunk and this is actually how I walk all the time. Despite what embarrassed parents might tell their children when they ask awkward questions as I walk past. I did spend 8 years as an alcoholic in a vain attempt to correct this issue, thinking that if I drank enough, I'd walk straight. Turns out it just aggravated the bladder issue further. And last but not least, I need to point out this. I hate that we have so many politically correct words to describe disabled people now. When I went to school, I honestly went to a school with spastics in its name. They certainly knew how to make us feel good about ourselves. Now it's all special needs, special schools, Special Olympics. I don't know what the fuck is so special about me. That is why it always alarms me when I hear about special forces going to war. I have to go now because the babysitter is waiting at home. I told her that my kids were asleep upstairs. Obviously, I haven't got any children. I'm just looking forward to seeing her face when I ask her where they are. Ladies and gentlemen, I have been Lost Voice Guy. If you find my voice, please contact me as soon as possible on my social media. You've been a fantastic audience. Even if you haven't, I can't really change what I say. I hope you have had fun laughing at a disabled man. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Vino, 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 Vino.
Ladies and gentlemen, wow, you've been amazing. Have you had a good night?
Yeah.
You've been an incredible audience. You really have. We've had 3 amazing acts. We've had Alec as well. So that was a bonus, everyone. Look, that's absolutely. Look at everyone putting the coats on now. Flipping it. You didn't remember you meant to leave that on all night. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna. I mean, unless you've got any ideas what you want to do now, is anything open in Lancaster?
No.
No? Alec, what's your place like? Pretty big. Full. Of prostitutes. Excellent. Right, that's fine. I'll dismiss you, and then we'll leave Alec alone. It's absolutely fine. It's, there's a final act to it, a comedy show, and a hostage situation. So that's okay. That's it. Ladies and gentlemen, you've come out on a Wednesday night. You've supported this amazing theatre and these incredible acts. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. So, pardon? One person's had a lovely time, everybody. So, I mean, to be honest, we've got your money already, so that was bonus. No, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for supporting tonight. I'm really glad you've had a lovely time. Thank you for leaving my table. And drinks are on me. No, they're not. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for all